You chose absolutely right tuning into Rwanda Television tonight. Welcome to our tonight's edition. This is what is coming up. Members of the Senate Committee on Political Affairs and Governance, as well as the Office of the Ombudsperson, have reiterated that there is still a problem in the issues, in addressing issues that are faced by the community.
The Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, Richard Tusabe, noted that considering the political will between the government and its partners, the country's goal to reduce the rate of extreme poverty to less than 1% by next year, 2024, is achievable.
A very great evening to you. It's our pleasure having your company tonight. My name, as always, is Sam Kalisa. How are you doing, Martina?
I'm very good. How are you doing tonight?
Very, very great.
All right. What is kicking off our bulletin tonight?
Yes, so we'll start off from the local scene. Members of the Senate Committee on Political Affairs and Governance, as well as the Office of the Ombudsperson, have reiterated that there is still a problem in the way issues in communities are addressed by the local leaders. Indeed, in different parts of the country, local residents accuse their community leaders of not addressing their problems actively and instead send them back forth and back between different offices. We do have the report with Serge Nore.
The problems between some local residents and their community leaders are so bad that they end up in court, in some cases involving as much as 1 million Rwandan francs, as was the case for this woman.
I took him to court in 2019 and we tussled all through 2020, 2021, 2022 and 2023, even though the court ruled in my favor on the 6th of September in 2022. I have become tired of running from office to office, trying to get my settlement. My home is damaged, but at least I beat him in court because he signed for that money when I gave it to him.
The more people you speak to, the more stories you hear of local leaders behaving in ways that cannot be justified. I have spent the last 7 years asking for the authorization to repair my house, and they have refused to give it to me. And I have lived here for 12 years. When it rains at night, we have to use umbrellas and cannot sleep. You can see lightning flashes inside the house as if you're outside, and during the day we take shelter among our neighbors.
I went to see him and he told me that he needs a notarized document to proceed. The notary said he would take care of the problem, but then he moved right away, and so I went to see the sector executive secretary, who called the cell executive secretary, and my land was given back to me. I used the land from 2020 to 2022 with no problems. But at the start of that year of 2022, the new executive secretary once again stripped me of my land, saying he had the authority to do so.
During the community outreach initiative, the members of the Senate Committee on Political Affairs and Governance also noticed a disturbing trend among local leaders in their attitude towards the people they are supposed to be serving.
The
local leaders give very little time to actually listening to the problems of their communities. They told us that they are very busy, especially at the sector, cell and settlement levels. And when people reach out to them for help, their problems are hurriedly dealt with. And the excuse of people never being satisfied is given. Yet the reason for that is because the problem was really never properly understood to begin with. They don't thoroughly address the issues at all. Officials in the Office of the Ombudsperson have expressed outrage at some of the behavior seen at the local level of government. You occupy the position, yet claim you have no time to address the people's challenges. What then are your responsibilities? You have a vehicle you were given by the government to use as your own, a lump sum, and even fuel, and yet you behave in that way. Are you really not playing with that leadership position? Why is it that when officials from the Office of the Ombudsperson or senators visit communities, all the problems are suddenly addressed? 20 issues resolved in one day. We have now become the implementers, solving the problems in communities. That is not the way things should be done, which is why a structure should exist of the way they all operate. The provincial governor, district mayor, sector executive, and all the way down. Does that channel exist? Top officials from the Ministry of Local Government have stressed that such behavior will not be tolerated.
For a leader to harass a local resident, it's not right at all. If anything, you should tell us the district in which you found such cases so that we may do follow-up. But regardless, we tell all leaders that they do not exist to harass local residents because such behavior contradicts the principles of this country. As the Ministry of Local Government, we will now make the commitment of ensuring that issues sent to other levels of implementation are properly addressed. We intend to wake them all up.
The fact that there are many issues in communities not being properly addressed is reflected in that in the last 3 years alone, litigations have skyrocketed, with courts receiving more than 200,000 cases, with some now on backlog.
The Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, Richard Tusabe, noted that considering the political will between the government and its partners, the country's goal is to reduce the rate of extreme poverty to less than 1% by next year, 2024, that is achievable. He said following the signing of a pro-poor basket fund agreement between the government of Rwanda and the Federal Republic of Germany worth 16 million euros, equivalent to 20 billion Rwandan francs. We have more from the story.
On Thursday, the government of Rwanda and the Federal Republic of Germany launched a pro-poor basket fund with an initial funding of 16 million euros, approximately 20 billion Rwandan francs, through the KfW Development Bank, a funding that will be used to uplift citizens from 16 districts of the country from extreme poverty. The Pro-Poor Fund will be used to invest in various job creation projects and other areas, including cleanliness and hygiene, the construction of primary and secondary schools, increasing health facilities, agriculture, and more. The Minister of State in charge of National Treasury in the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, Richard Tusabe, noted that the funding will accelerate the country's goal to reduce extreme poverty to less than 1% by 2024 through strengthening the local government performance.
One of the ways to sustain development within the local government is decentralization, but accompanied with the right policies, the right partners, and the right support. And what we've signed today again is a witness in that direction. Additionally, technical support to LODA and Morocco will be provided in setting up and consolidating the basket fund as well as capacity development. The emphasis of technical support will be put on the target districts in order to improve local service delivery. We do accept and acknowledge the gaps that we have in terms of capacity. And the basket fund, again, we try to touch the capacity development of the districts to ensure that whatever we are putting in the hands of the citizens is sustainable and is kept to the expectations to serve the communities.
Birgit Pickel, the Director General of Africa at the German Development Ministry, reiterated that the fund is in line with her country's support to Rwanda's good governance efforts.
We are delighted to continue the support to local governments, but now with an even more stronger focus on the most vulnerable groups of your population and with a more systematic and transformational approach to our joint work. Allow me to highlight that the Basket Fund for Pro-Poor Development is a joint contribution and commitment by the government of Rwanda, the German government via KfW, and soon also France via the AFD, to focus on the 16 poor rural districts and the most pro-poor and also gender-sensitive types of infrastructure. This serves in the end our shared objective of leaving no one behind. And I must say that this approach also on focusing on the most vulnerable rural districts where still most of the poor people in this country live seems to be a very good approach.
In a cabinet meeting held in November 2022, a national plan was approved to help people in low-income households get out of poverty in a sustainable way. Reapproved was also the target to reduce extreme poverty to less than 1% by 2024 from 16.1% in 2016-2017. Participants of the Women Deliver conference that has been ongoing in Kigali, Rwanda for the past 4 days say that it leaves them with the task of being a catalyst of change in their respective countries, because gender equality and women's development cannot be achieved without the cooperation and striving for it. Olive Nete with the details.
More than 6,000 people from 160 different countries of the world participated in the 2023 Women Deliver Conference, which consisted of various discussions on what can be done to find solutions to the obstacles that still hinder women's development. Some of the participants testified that it was a good opportunity to refresh themselves and remind themselves of their role in ensuring women's development in general.
One thing that I'm taking away that I got very clear on is decolonizing the money that goes to these foundations that help support women's rights all across the globe. It's really clear to me that if I want to do a fundraiser back at home, it's really clear to me that when I build a business, that I build a business that is decolonizing all those past thoughts, all those past systems that don't really work anymore. And to find ways to really create funding for women that is lasting and flexible.
More power. Honestly, this whole space has rejuvenated me. I mean, one of the things that you would have heard a lot is that it is tiring to do the work that we do. But I've just picked on so much energy from this space. I think they should hear us and actually bring us into the decision making more. Because at the end of the day, what we're asking for is not far-fetched, right? We want a world where everybody, at the end of the day, it's equality, where everybody, regardless of gender, has equal opportunities, and that's what we're asking for. So if they listen to us and hear what we're doing and what we're saying, and we all co-create together, I'm sure that the policies and the new laws and everything will be inclusive of everyone, inclusive of everyone's voice, so that, at the end of the day, all of us can thrive.
The thing I learned from the Women Deliver conference was that menstrual health is really important, and it also helps to debunk gender-based violence. When I get back home, I am going to definitely set up a system that is going to continue to fight for menstrual health awareness.
Among the discussions made throughout the conference include how women can participate in all sectors, including politics, business, social life, and others. The CEO and President of Women Deliver, Dr. Maliha Khan, urges participants of the conference to use lessons learned to initiate changes needed.
It is the biggest space for gender equality that's been created since COVID. And the last big one was probably the last Women Deliver. That I hope we carry with it that high point, that energy, that hope, that solidarity. And then we take that and we continue to employ that feeling. It will diminish, and let's be very clear, it will diminish. But if we keep the notion of that high point with us and carry it to other conceptual and metaphoric spaces, but also other spaces which we don't have so much control over, if we as a body can take this energy forward into those spaces, I think we can keep the momentum going forward with that.
Professor Jeanette Baisenge, the Minister of Gender and Family Promotion, emphasized that such spaces are a good opportunity to reevaluate and see what can be done to ensure gender equality and women's development in general.
Words alone cannot do justice to the profound experiences, stories we have shared over the past few days, from engaging pre-conferences, inspiring opening ceremony, as well as remarkable plenaries, side events, concurrent sessions, and sidelines. Throughout this gathering, we have been privileged to witness and participate in exceptional exchange of ideas, capabilities, ambitions, reaffirming our collective commitment to empower women and girls in their respective diversities. In Rwanda, as the MC said, we have come a long way in our journey toward gender equality and women empowerment. Our national success is deeply rooted in the belief that progress can only be achieved when women are at the forefront of decision-making, development, and transformation. We have witnessed significant strides in education, in health, economic opportunities, and political representation of women, but we acknowledge that there is still more to be done to sustain the result and accelerate the progress.
Women Deliver was held for the 6th time, and it is the first time that it is held on the African continent. It is expected to convene again in 2026. Olive Nete, RTV News.
Thank you, Olive Nete, for that report. Now, in an exclusive interview with the Rwanda Broadcasting Agency, the president and CEO of Women Deliver, Maliha Khan, demonstrated the impact of this large conference of Women Deliver 2023 conference, which happened for the first time on the African continent. We have more.
I think it went amazingly well. We've had 6,300 delegates here from 170 countries. I think this is probably the most diverse group of people that Rwanda has ever hosted. So a few things that I think went really, really well. I had many people approach me and tell me how warm the hospitality of the Rwandan people was, how welcoming they were, and how they felt that this was, an incredibly important event to have here. Second, I think the conversations were deep and meaningful. Some of them were hard because these were difficult issues that we were discussing, but it's very, very important to have. So I think everyone will be carrying with them the memories of those discussions and the ways forward they're taking from Rwanda. And third of all, I think it's given us so much momentum and learning to see how Rwanda itself, through political will, how much it's been able to achieve over the last 20 to 30 years on gender equality. When it started out 30 years ago, Rwanda was very low in the rankings on gender equality, and now it's one of the highest in Africa. I know you compete with Namibia and a few other countries. It's a healthy competition to have as who's going to do the best, and it's incredible. We really appreciate it.
Gender-based violence, teen girls' education, and women's health are among of the key points that was reiterated by various delegates during this conference. Then, my question is, how are you going to work hand in hand with the nations and other responsible organizations in the implementation process of the above topics, hence to empower the women globally?
I think gender-based violence, education, and health are incredibly important issues for all girls and women. Gender-based violence prevents so many things, good things from happening. Education enables so many good things from happening. And health, of course, particularly the bodily autonomy and integrity of every girl and woman are incredibly important. Women Deliver works on all of these issues. Education indirectly, but by ensuring the bodily autonomy and integrity of girls, we're able to bring them to school and keep them in school and keep them safe in school. We know that gender-based violence and harassment within the schools and outside of the schools is one of the biggest issues that prevents girls from being able to stay in school. So addressing all of these, I think, is really important, and Women Deliver makes a commitment to continue our global advocacy at these multilateral forums to ensure that governments and others stay accountable towards it.
Now, this was the first time this Women Deliver conference took place on the African continent. Now, what are the outcomes of the conference compared to the expectations you had while preparing the conference as well?
I have been really, really pleased and actually pleasantly surprised at how vast, diverse, and active the participation of African delegates has been. It gladdens my heart, and I hope they never let go of this space. They always say that Africa must be represented as well as it was represented here in Kigali. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Adam Squizera for the informative interview. And moving ahead, the Shali Transport Company has been providing training for its drivers and other employees on customer care. The company has also unveiled a tracking technology that will enable it to monitor 25 new buses in its fleet, some of which have already begun to arrive.
The employees who participated in the training on Thursday say it helped them to remember the importance of putting the safety and comfort of their customers first.
gahunda ya Gerayo Amahoro tuyumva nko kurengera ubuzima bw'abo dutwara.
We understand that the Gerayo Amahoro program is in place to save lives. We understand that road safety is paramount to public safety in general, and thank the leadership of our country for putting in place such programs, and we at Shali Transport see that it is effective.
Kandi nkatwe muri Shali Transport tubona biri ku rugero rwiza.
I believe the Gerayo Amahoro service concerns everybody, and I urge the drivers and passengers I serve to be careful when using our routes, especially our drivers.
The company's executives are happy with the progress Jari has made, as well as the transportation sector in general, thanks to sound leadership advice. We have achieved a lot thanks to the advice we were given by people like the president of our country, especially to do with the behavior of our drivers. Before, we were not as organized as we are now, and thanks to the advice of the president, we formed cooperatives and later formed Jari Transport. And that is when we really began to organize the way we transport people here in Kigali City. We also listened to the advice of institutions like the police, Mininfra and Rura on the way we are to behave along with our drivers. Also present at the training was a spokesperson of the National Police. First, we were training these drivers on how they should conduct themselves on public roads, avoiding chaos and accidents on our roads, because honestly, they are usually the culprits. As part of the Gerayo Amahoro program, we collaborated with their leaders, and we are grateful for that cooperation because they helped us to come here instead of training people in general in taxi parks. It is very effective when we visit these companies individually, training everyone on the campaign, not just drivers, but pedestrians as well and other road users. The company has also installed a surveillance system on its buses that will help in monitoring the safety of their passengers and their belongings. This control room monitors all of Jari Transport's buses because each one has cameras installed in it. They help us to keep track of things and the security of everyone on board. In cases when passengers forget luggage, we are able to note it and have it returned when they contact us with a claim because all of our buses have a number you can call. Jari Transport Limited has 307 employees and more than 250 buses, not counting the extra 25 that it recently purchased.
And on behalf of the entire news production as well as the technical team, many thanks for being with us on this edition. Up until next time,
stay safe
and have a great evening.